Line here of infantry. They're going to be protected by the archers, even though these are all going to hit us. But we should be quite strong. These, I think the consensus is we want them as mop-ups, yeah? Because we don't want them to be, they're not too strong against these. We still need to keep quite a broad line, I think.
Are we still using
because we
that one
don't
at the
want
end,
to end up getting completely
Are we
surrounded.
All right, OK.
Yeah. Joe,
That's the battle plan. Now, prepare to go into battle. Use this map and listen carefully to everything your lieutenants are telling you. Are you clear what you have to do?
Yeah.
I'm not. These aren't all in the right place
Joe,
yet.
Stop moaning. It's time to deploy your troops.
After much debate, the generals have decided to confront their enemy head-on. Leading their vastly outnumbered forces downhill, a front line of legionary troops will support 2 units of archers.
Paul, we're going to have to do a bit of mingling as well.
You've got the archers, I've got the infantry, so I need to set the infantry up. You put the archers behind my infantry.
OK, well, you get your infantry set up.
The generals have settled on holding their key troops, the auxiliary cavalry, in deep reserve.
We could actually
Shut up talking, Gary. We have a look,
We should
shall
go
we?
and take a look, shall we?
But which battle will command the generals' full attention? The one on the field, or the one amongst themselves?
But they're starting to move now, Joe, down the centre.
Nothing there, though. There's
Joe, we've got
nothing.
cavalry moving down the centre now.
The British troops have suddenly begun their advance. 60,000 furious Britons, under the leadership of Queen Boudicca, descend on an outnumbered force, determined to repel the Roman occupation. It's time for the Romans to get their act together.
We need to give some
With all these
information then.
trees behind
We need
us,
to
yeah.
let
You could move your troops.
Yeah.
Tell them what to
Gillian,
do. They won't do anything unless you
Paul,
tell them.
Looking at it, do you want to just
moving.
move our army forward a bit? If they
Which
do
bit of your
something?
army do you want to move?
Or move all of it slightly forward.
OK.
Paul, are you listening to them?
Yeah, sorry.
We need to move our army forward, but just slightly.
OK.
At last, the Romans begin to deploy.
I thought you liked the protection of the hills behind you.
Well, we're not moving far. We still actually have the topography behind us. But until we actually see what the enemy is starting to do, then we need to modify it as we go along. How far are you moving the archers forward?
They're just taking ages.
Before
Can they
they
run?
have
Can they not
their
run?
first.
They are running.
Joe's original plan was to wait on the high ground. Now that the Celts are on the move, she seems determined to launch a frontal assault.
Right, you see that? Look, oh, they're at the road
Right, need
now.
to turn
We're
out.
still way back there. Can they run?
Then mine can
stop
catch
them.
up, because then I can actually see what you've done, Paul, because I can't
I
actually
put 2
understand
lines
what
of
you've done.
infantry right at the front, so
Yeah,
your
but you
archers
look
are
like you put them there and there. I thought we were
have that
putting
in a
them there and
straight
there.
line?
Look how spread out.
The Romans are just,
They are really spread out. They are sitting ducks.
they're moving away from the protection of that fold in the ground.
And although the ancient Brits have brought their infantry up, there's still quite a long way. There's still, that's quite a bit of marching time. But it's not that long a time to send some cavalry and chariots in. They could get in there amongst them really any minute now.
What's
That's
going on
actually
here?
still just
Who's
behind
me
them.
and which
They're
one's...
still keeping just behind the road at the moment, Joe. You have to see
they're
that
not- yeah, they're not moving.
the infantry is actually
Generals,
on
do you want your troops to move?
Why do you think? Why are they not coming?
because they're waiting to see what we're going to do.
The team are thrown by Boudicca's decision to stand and wait. Confused orders filter down to the ranks for a pointless and tiring change in formation.
OK, right, the infantry are just about in place in one
Yeah,
long line.
and my archers are just coming up behind
Can we
now.
have your archers spread out?
See, look
Yeah,
at the
See where their
distance.
spread the
cavalry
archers
is
out
now.
so there's a very thin line
Jill,
of them. Yes.
and that's the they've travelled all this distance. They've stopped at the road now. They seem to not be wanting to go any further. We've still got this massive gap.
They don't want to meet us on the plain, do they? They're trying to draw. Well, they want to meet us. They're trying to draw us out so they can just power straight through.
What's behind?
Well, they're saving energy, aren't they?
If the Britons provoke the Romans into coming down the hill, down the valley, away from that position of advantage, we're going to see a battle between Joe, who wants to remain concentrated, and Gary, who wants
to go down. Absolutely.
That's right. And Gary is the assertive one, and Joe is the one who really understands what's going on.
Well, to a point, I think.
This isn't looking too
Joe,
much like what's on the board.
Joe and Gary, I'm still not clear. Are you happy with where your forces are?
Well, we're moving our forces forward.
These ones.
How far forward are you going to move them? Because you wanted to stay in basically the same position, didn't you?
Yeah. Are we going to?
They've stopped, haven't they?
So does that mean you have to move?
How many groups after the archers do we need? Is it 4 groups?
Are we putting them into those sumo shapes to deal with? Well, the plan was we still had to wait and see what their army was going to do, and so we have to modify as we go along.
The team is trying to create a front line.
But there's no depth here.
No depth.
Cavalry can crash through that.
And those are narrow lines of archers.
Absolutely.
And those archers haven't got anything to protect them from cavalry.
Cavalry and chariots can get round there, get behind those archers, and bear in mind that the cavalry and the chariots are both using missile weapons. They don't even have to come in contact. They just need to get within 20 yards, and they really can just
those missiles
chuck it in.
We've done it.
We need to move ours forward then.
We need the rest on the
Your
board so
other
we can put them on.
infantry are behind. Have you got infantry behind your archers?
Quite
Is that what we
simple,
need? Right.
So, Joe, are we actually... Joe?
The enemy is closing in. We've done nothing yet.
Joe, are we
They're coming in. They're coming in now.
Having tempted the Romans off the high ground, Boudicca orders her troops to advance across Watling Street.
How many groups behind the infantry? We're going to have to take Jill. Jill, we'll just do it what we think.
Yeah.
Can we have...
Okay. We need the...
Split those up, one on each side.
They're arguing. The generals cannot impose their will on the battlefield because they're
talking
fighting.
at once.
They're all talking at once. And the 2 generals aren't really talking to each other either. We're not seeing a functioning command structure.
Bring these groups here back up to support them at the back, as we said before.
Okay,
Don't you want to see the
that's what we're doing, look.
Well,
Who's this? The chariots. These are chariots coming now. Where's the cavalry? Can we send the cavalry in to try and sort out these chariots and get people off the chariots?
Doing it towards
They're going to...
Can you find out where...
Oh, look at those chariots coming.
Here they come. Wonderful. This is what we want. Here come the chariots.
With Boudicca's chariots fast approaching, the first engagement of the battle is about to begin. Can the team's ground troops respond in time?
The archers are firing at them. Are they getting everything?
We need to fire at will, Jill.
Yeah, the chariots are coming round the back.
The chariots are breaking the formations.
Look at this lot. Where's
The
all their
team is
formation?
falling for it. The team is doing just what the Britons want them
And what
to do.
they'll do is they'll start fighting this fire.
That's right. They're going to focus on that. They'll take their minds off the rest of the battlefield.
We're shooting our own men now.
Your arrows are hitting us.
I know.
You're killing our troops.
I know, I'm telling them off.
Why?
Yes,
You can't tell them off.
hitting each other.
And now look at the chariots. They've done their job, and the chariots are speeding away.
Speeding away. Absolutely. Hit and run.
Right, the rest, they're charging now.
where the archers
Apparently,
are?
Gary,
now.
that was a trick to make us go in and lose all our troops.
Coming forward, which is why we needed the archers.
Now we're running away, and running away is not necessarily good.
Right,
for
stop them. Is that mine or yours?
Is that us? Can we stop those?
Look at that line. Oh, my goodness. These people are strung out.
So vulnerable. Got to have depth. There've got to be 4 or 5 at least.
The problem is that we heard somebody before talking about Ben-Hur, and they have got cultural preconceptions about war. They think there needs to be a front line. They think it needs to be long, and this is true if you've got muskets. But they don't have muskets. What a Roman army needs is depth.
After an initial chariot ambush which shattered the Roman front line, Boudicca's infantry are now approaching in great strength. How will the Romans respond?
Should we do the tortoise thing?
If in doubt, do the tortoise.
We actually need, before their foot soldiers hit us, we actually need to get ours into those solid sumo groups to give ourselves some protection.
So your plan now is what?
Get our own ground troops into their turtle formation to break right through.
But the testudo, intended to deflect missile attack, is the least appropriate and most time-consuming maneuver to